Okay, we're good. All right, so today's notes are graphing inequalities in two variables. Guys, what are our two variables going to be? X and Y. What do y'all remember? If we have two variables in an equation, what kind of graph do we put it on? An X and Y, a coordinate plane. So no longer are we dealing with just the x-axis, the side-by-side ones. We're doing both of them. So we're going to have a little bit more difficulty just to get these graphed.
Is the x-axis just the number line?
Yeah, the x-axis is just the number line. That's why it's just like...
X and Y,
okay.
not A and B.
Eventually you will learn Z. Okay, so, boys, y'all promise me y'all are going to be okay?
Yes.
Okay. The graph of a linear inequality is the set of points that represents all of the possible solutions of that inequality. Now, an equation defines a line which is going to divide the coordinate plane into two halves. Okay, so you guys, we've already learned how to graph lines. So that's what we're going to have to do first, is going to graph the line. And then we're going to figure out, we still, just like on the x-axis, just a normal number line where you had to put your point and shade in a direction, we're still going to have to shade on here. That's going to be the newest thing that we're doing. Okay, that's going to be like the brand new thing. So we have 4 steps. The first is going to be graph the boundary line. That line's going to have to be in slope-intercept form. What is slope-intercept form? Good. Y equals mx plus b. So we have to get y by itself every time. Now we are going to use a solid line when the inequality contains equal to. So when we say solid line, we mean we're going to do a solid line when it's equal to. And then we have to use a dashed line, so like this, when it is not equal to. Told you today was going to be fun. Okay, so when it's not equal to, we have to do a dashed line. When it is equal to, we use a solid line. So instead of a solid dot or a open dot, open circle, it's now going to be the line is either solid line or dashed line.
This seems fun.
Okay. Then, after that, we have to figure out which side we're going to shade. So we're going to shade above the inequality. If it contains greater than or equal to or greater than, we're going to shade below the line. If it contains less than or equal to or less than. I'm actually going to teach y'all a different way to do that because sometimes it's hard to tell which way is the top and which way is the bottom. Okay. We're actually going to use a point to figure out if it's a solution or not. And then once we figure out which side to shade, we're going to shade it. Okay, so this is going to make a lot more sense as we practice. So that's what we need to do first. All right, so let's just go ahead and look at example 1. Okay, so we're going to graph 2y minus 4x is greater than 6. Okay, so we have to first solve for y because we have to put this in slope-intercept form in order to graph it. So we've got to get y by itself. What would y'all like to move first? Okay, how do I move this minus 4x? Add 4x on both sides. So that leaves me with 2y. Does my inequality change?
No.
No.
I divided mine by 2 first. I divided everything by 2.
Okay, that's fine. Everything by 2? Everything. All
Yes,
3
everything.
terms. Okay. How should I write this right here?
4x plus.
Good. 4x plus 6. Because we want it to look like y equals mx plus b. Okay?
Does it mean you divide everything by 2?
Now we divide everything by 2. When I say everything, we divide everything.
Then you get y equals 2x.
Hang on. Not equals 2.
I mean greater than.
Y is greater than 2x plus 3. Very good.
So we're dotted line.
Okay? Good. So we are going to do a dotted line because it's not equal to. Not equal to. So it is going to be a dotted line or dashed line. What is our slope here?
2.
2. What's our y-intercept?
3.
3. Remember, M is slope, B is the y-intercept. If you don't remember that, so we need to make a little note of it. So slope, y-intercept. What must we graph first? The y-intercept. Okay, so if you do not remember your steps, okay, 1, we graph y-intercept. If you do not know this, please write it down. If you know it, that's fine. Graph your y-intercept. Okay, if our y-intercept is at 3, where am I going on my graph? Up to the 3. Why am I going up and not right?
Because that's x-axis.
Y-intercept goes on the y-axis. Very good. Okay, our second step is use slope to find second point. Okay, so we're going to use the slope to find a second point. Well, our slope is 2. I can put that 2 over 1, and slope is the same thing as rise over run. So where am I going to start to use my slope? The y-intercept. So we have to start at this y-intercept, and we're going to go up 2 and right 1. And what is it going to be helpful to have for this?
A ruler.
A ruler. Okay, I'm just going to use the side of my sticky notes. You can use the side of your binder, calculator, whatever you got. Now, be careful, because here is where people forget. What type of line do I need to draw? A dotted or dashed line. So, I did a...
One dot in it. If one skip, not.
No. Do at least like 3 or 4 for me.
I don't understand what's being done.
Okay. So are we okay so far?
Yes. Yeah. What's wrong, Stephen?
If we can't graph lines, then we would have an issue.
It's not perfect yet.
Okay. We are not done. So again, our step said that if we have greater than, we would shade, we would shade above the line. Okay, and so some people just have a struggle with that, figuring out which way is above the line. So I prefer to do the test point. Okay, so do y'all see how the point 0, 0 is right here, and it is not on our line?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you pick a point that's not on your line, and you just plug it in to the inequality, and it's a true statement, you're going to shade the side with that point. If you plug this point in, and it's not a true statement, you're going to shade the other side, because we're trying to figure out which side has all the solutions. Okay, it's either going to be the left side or the right side. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take 0, 0. Okay, that's 0 for x and 0 for y. And we can plug it back into our inequality. Now, y'all can go with the original one or our solved one. Which would y'all prefer?
Solved.
The solved. Okay, so I'm going to use y is greater than 2x plus 3. And I'm going to replace both x and y with 0, 0. Since 0, 0 is not on our line, and it's the easiest number to plug in. So 0 is greater than 2 times 0 plus 3. Are y'all okay with what I just did?
Yes.
Okay, so that gives us 0 is greater than 3. 0 is greater than 3? Okay, Stephen. 0 is not greater than 3. So that is not true. So that means 0, 0 is not a solution, because it doesn't make a true statement. So that means on this side of the line, these are not solutions. That means the other side is where all the solutions are. And to show that all these points, literally, guys, infinitely many points are going to be the solution. So we're going to shade that side. I'm going to do it colorful. Yeah. Y'all don't have to do it colorful. I just want to do it colorful. So we're going to shade the opposite side of the line, because that means that's where those solutions are going to be.
You can't see it.
So, if it's a true statement, we shade the other side?
Yeah, so if that made a true statement, we would shade the side with the point. And if it's not a true statement, we shade the opposite side.
Is that an okay shade? Do I have to write?
That's fine. Nope, that's fine. So that, guys, that means at any point that we choose from this side of the graph, any point, whether it's -6, 5, or -5, -1, or -4, 0, all of these points over here are a solution, and that should make a true statement when we plug them in. Okay? So we have infinitely many solutions. But not all of these.
Okay, so let's say the line was like farther to the right, and 0, 0, 0 would be on like the left side. Would that change anything in this problem?
So it would be, first of all, a different equation. And so if your line was over here, and let's say we plugged in 0, 0, and it was a solution, we'd still shade over here.
Okay.
If the line was over here and 0, 0 was not, then we'd shade this side over here. Okay, and we'll do more example problems. You can only choose 0, 0 if your line's not going through 0, 0. Okay. All right. On to the next one. Okay, what's our first step?
Change it so it works.
Change it so it works. Man, that was a great one. What does that mean?
Change it into slope-intercept.
Go to slope-intercept form. So right now, I want you guys to solve this and put it in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. Do that without me.
I can't bring my paper.
Push it to divide 2
I didn't feel
It's all hard, Kevin.
Honey, 2 divided by 4, which is what?
Einstein for this one.
Which is what?
0.5.
What does that mean?
Who?
Yeah.
You don't say.
Dylan, only I get to be mean now. Dylan, you've been extra mean this year.
I think it's because of the tan. I think it's because of the tan.
And the mustache.
Yeah.
It's his meanness mustache.
It's his alter ego.
Training and didn't improve it all.
Alright,
At least he doesn't just have better than you.
so do we have y by itself?
Yes.
Do we have fractions?
Yes.
There. Okay, guys, so we have y. Yeah. Y is greater than or equal to -1/4 x plus 1/2. Okay, did y'all get that?
Yes.
Because there is a -1 in front of this x, and -1 divided by 4 is -1/4. 2 divided by 4 is 1/2. Okay, so now we have to graph. So the two things we have to pull from this is m is -1/4, so that's our slope. B is
1/2.
1/2, so that's our y-intercept. What do we graph first? The y-intercept, so 0.5. So guys, where is that 1/2 or 0.5 going to be?
In between 0 and 1.
Good, in between 0 and 1, up between 0 and 1. And then from there, our slope says -1/4, so that is down 1 and right 4. So from this half, if I go down a hole, it's going to, again, put me in the middle of a box, okay? And then if I, in between, good, in between 0 and -1 this time, and I'm going to go 4 right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And here's my other point.
This is a negative slope.
What was that, Tyler?
It's a dotted line.
Why?
Because no, it is not.
It's not a dotted line. It's a
straight line.
straight.
Okay, so all lines are straight, guys. It's a solid line because it's equal to. Okay, so it's going to be a solid line because it's equal to. I have to turn my paper to line.
Oh, what?
Why is it? Wouldn't it go down there equal? And then
Rise over run. Rise is at the top, so down 1. Run is side to side, right 4.
the y up here would be.
Gavin, what's going on today?
I don't know.
Are you overthinking things?
I think that's why I told him my brain stopped working.
You told him
Boys. Okay. We have now made our line. What is our last step? To shade it, okay? Can we use 0, 0?
Yes.
Yes. Why?
Because it's not,
0, 0 always works.
No.
It works
it's not going through the
Our line is not going through 0, 0. It's going right above it. So we can use 0, 0 as our test point. And y'all want to plug that into our already solved inequality?
Yes.
Not the original? Okay, so 0 is... Shefton, you are not focusing right
I know,
now?
I'm trying to
If
make
you
me
plug it
a
into the
little
original-
thing so I can make a straight line.
Okay. You can plug it into the original as well. It'll do the same thing. It's the same thing.
Then we have to like convert it to the
Nope.
It is not true again.
Nope. So 0 is greater than or equal to negative 1/4 times 0 plus 1/2. So 0 is greater than or equal to 1/2, which again, you guys have told me, not true. So we are going to shade the opposite side. So if 0, 0 is below this line, it's right here, we're going to shade right up here. Okay? Do y'all have any questions on that?
So as long as it doesn't touch
How do you know what
As long as it doesn't touch 0, 0, you can use 0, 0. If it touches 0, 0, you can just pick any other point.
Don't talk to
Any
me about
Any other point on the graph.
That's not going to touch.
Yep, that's not on that line.
No, tell me about what that was.
Hey Tyler, we were being friends and now I don't feel like we're friends anymore.
Dude,
So if it's not true,
You don't have this down, so we need to get caught up. You have a question? No.
not true is above and true is under.
Not necessarily. It's just the opposite side of where that point was. So if 0, 0 was, if this line was just down here, like if it was just right down here, 0, 0 would be above it, so we'd end up shading down here. Alright, we'll have one where we use 0, 0 and it'll work, okay, I promise. This one. Okay? Alright, so our next problem.
But that's a less than symbol though. So you shade under.
Okay, so we have 2x plus 3 is less than or equal to 7. What do we have to get by itself?
Why?
Why?
But there is no
Why?
y.
But there is no y.
Say that's.
That means because y is that.
I mean, it's
Why
not
is
solution.
0?
No, it does not.
Y
It's all real numbers.
The y-intercept does not. Just let's solve this. What can we solve this for?
never cross the line.
X. Okay. So let's solve this for x. How do I get x by itself?
Add
Zero.
Minus 3.
Subtract the 3.
2x is less than or equal to what?
4.
4. Divide by 2. X is less than or equal to 2. Okay. If x is less than or equal to 2, where am I going to put a point at 2?
Right there.
On the
X.
On the x-axis, because this time we are dealing with x only. So put a point at 2.
So it's to the y-intercept. There's no y-intercept.
Oh yeah, because y is on the x-axis.
Okay. Now,
It's vertical.
we are assuming that this means x is equal to 2. When we graph it, we're graphing the line x is equal to 2. Guys, remember, if you have y equals a number or x equals a number, one of them is going to be a vertical line, one's going to be a horizontal line. Which one's this going to be?
Vertical line.
Vertical, because it's opposite of the x-axis. So we're going to draw a vertical,
Straight up and down.
line at x is equal to 2. Now, is it going to be dotted or solid?
Solid.
Solid, because it has that equal
It's
to.
going to be liquid.
And then you're shading on the
Y'all are so interesting today.
And then it's going to go from liquid to gas.
Okay. So this is why I don't like using that approach of, hey, if it's less than, you shade under, if it's greater than, you shade above. Because, y'all, is there any above or below this line? Because this line's going up and down. So that's a little confusing.
Left and right.
But you could also think left and
Or
right.
you could just like turn the paper sideways and then go up and down.
Stop it. Guys, listen, because I know y'all know this. X is less than or equal to 2. Where are the values on the x-axis that are less than or equal to 2?
To the left.
To the left. And of course there's Jacob wanting to say the wrong answer, okay? So we can shade to the left knowing that the values of x that are less than or equal to 2 or to the left. Now we're still going to check it with our test point just to make sure that we are smarter than Jacob.
Wait, how do you plug this in? Oh wait, it's already 0 for y. So
It's already 0 for y.
So I just think we got one.
Alright.
That is true.
So just to double check ourselves, or if you're Jacob and you would like to just figure it out, this we're using 0, 0 as a test point because 0, 0 is not on the line. So 0 goes in place of x. So 0 less than or equal to 2. Is 0 less than or equal to 2?
No.
Wait, yes.
So if it's not equal to 2.
But is it less than?
Yes.
Or equal to?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Y'all are killing me.
I thought that was our job.
Alright.
Wait, this is less than.
Is this a true statement?
Yes,
Less
than.
Okay. Y'all are never going to get past that, are you? Okay. So, because, hang on. Because this is a true statement, we shade the side with 0, 0, which we've already done. So this is why sometimes we shade the side with 0, 0, sometimes we would not shade it, okay?
Is this your funniest class?
This is my class where I pretty much just teach boys, it seems like, some days. Well, I feel like I teach the girls, the boys just interact.
This is the class you debate or
The girls don't talk.
I know, it's so lovely.
This is a class where we talk about how bad Auburn is.
I
thought
this is the class where you determine.
Okay, you calm down because
Yeah, this is the class where I question my sanity and why I chose to teach some days, but it's okay.
Current is the best
Okay.
one.
Does this make sense, or are we okay?
We're okay.
Okay. There is another example problem, practice problem right here. We're going to skip the practice problem. We're going to go to example 3. That was your fault. You said please no, please no, please no. So I realized, hey, we should just go on to example 3 so we have time to do it. All right. Are you ready? No, you're not ready?
No.
Okay, well, we're going to start anyway.
I would sit it only 9.
All right. Jacob, what time did you go to bed last night? I think you need to go to bed a little early tonight. Okay, go to bed a little bit earlier tonight.
Doing that homework.
Who can read this for me?
I can read.
Right. And
Oh gosh.
Hang on, I need a, thank you. Tyler, read it.
What am I supposed to be reading?
Right here. Right here.
Okay, Neil wants to run a marathon at a pace of at least 6 miles per hour. Write and graph an inequality for the miles y he will run in X hours.
Okay. We have a word problem. He wants to run at least. What does that mean?
Less than.
Less than or greater than.
Less than.
Greater than or equal to.
Okay, if he wants to run at least.
At the minimum.
At the minimum. So he wants to run greater than or equal to 6 miles per hour. Okay? Now, what variable needs to go over here? The miles. Why? He wants to run greater than. Why miles? Greater than or equal to 6 miles per hour. So what variable goes with the 6? X, because X is the number of hours.
Plus B.
So y is greater than or equal to 6x. Do we have a b?
No.
What is b then?
0.
b is 0. What's m?
6.
6. Where does my first point go?
6.
No.
0.
0.
Which means that we can't
So
use
that means we can't use 0.
Very good. We can't use 0, 0.
Stop talking to that.
Okay. Tyler, what's our slope?
6.
6 over
1.
1. So from 0, 0, I'm going which direction? 6? Up 6 and right 1.
And then it says
Solid or dotted?
Solid.
Solid because it's equal to
It's tied to gas.
Tyler.
Fuck.
Okay. Now we cannot use 0, 0 as our test point to figure out which side we shade. So guys, pick a point. 6, 6.
1, 1.
Okay, 6, 6 is over here. We can absolutely pick that. Is there a reason why or no? All right, so Jacob, because Jacob in all his glory is just very interesting today, we are going to pick the point 6, 6, and that's going to be plugged in for X and Y. If you would like to choose a different point, you are more than welcome to. It just cannot be on our line. Okay? 6 is greater than or equal to 6 times 6 is 36. Is that true?
Yes.
Steven, y'all are just killing me today. Y'all did so well on Tuesday, and today y'all are just ruining it.
What's wrong with that?
Is 6 greater than or equal to 36? No. So do we shade this side with that point? No. We shade the opposite side. We shade the opposite side. Okay, tomorrow we will talk more about this. Tomorrow we will practice more of this. Tomorrow you also have a checkpoint.
Are you gonna make it through the homework?
Yes.
No, please.
We got through everything. You were perfectly fine.
Sorry, but I need a grade in here because right now I got an F.
Make sure you guys get your homework done and are prepared for your checkpoints on the absolute value stuff.
I have all hundreds.
Are you gonna check now?